wants us to burn it again.
I hope he tells us to burn our pants. They start driving me nuts.
Welcome to Movies, Films, and Cinema Reels, the only podcast that hates pants. My name is Eric.
And this is Jonathan.
And this is Steven. And today we're going to talk to you about a couple of movies.
Don't you hate pants? To my surprise, I figured this. I found out this today. As you were telling me, let's talk about upcoming movies. I was looking at RT, checking what's coming up, and I was astounded by what I saw. There's 4 films that I'm interested in seeing, and I wanted to speak about them. But one is very special to me, and I'll explain why. So there's Macbeth coming out with Fassbender and who's the other actor? Macbeth. Marion Cotillard, the French actress.
Yes.
Yeah, Macbeth. I'm really glad to see something about Shakespeare come out again.
Yeah, it looks pretty ballin'.
In this era. There's that one. There's a documentary coming out called Hitchcock Truffaut, which is about their relationship.
Another Hitchcock movie?
No, yeah, but
David Fincher, what?
Yeah, David Fincher's in it. Martin Scorsese, Wes Anderson, Richard Linklater.
What is it? Just directors talking about Hitchcock?
It's about a book that it's because on one weekend Alfred Hitchcock and Francois Truffaut, they were enclosed in a house, I believe, in Hollywood, and they wrote a book about. The book's called Hitchcock Truffaut. It was published half a century ago, and they just talk about their techniques as a director and artist, and all these great directors comment on this. Of course, the new Quentin Tarantino movie. Steve, the title is
The Hateful Eight.
Okay, that's it.
I'm not super interested in it just because he just did a Western movie, so I feel like
another Western.
Well, this is a Western.
Okay.
So I feel it's a little bit of a retread. Although, if Quentin Tarantino's doing it, I always expect a certain level of quality. So,
Is it a spaghetti Western?
I mean, usually with him it is, but
Okay.
you can't really throw that too much in the trailer.
Okay. Who stars in this one?
Sam Jackson, Tim Roth.
Yes, Tim Roth. Yes.
What's his name? Michael Madsen?
Yeah, Michael Madsen.
Michael Madsen.
Nah, that's him. Yeah, he's in this.
I think this cast is gonna be great.
Yeah. No Christoph Waltz this time around.
It's okay.
That's good. It's good that they part ways for a little while.
Yeah.
Wait, is Nick Nolte in it? Or am I confusing him with someone
I
else?
don't think it's Nick Nolte.
Who's the lead guy with the
Tim
huge
Roth.
mustache?
Sam Jackson.
No.
Are you confusing Nick Nolte with Sam Jackson?
So there's that one, and the final one I guess would be The Revenant.
Yeah.
That would be that comes out in 2016. You said, Eric?
I think so. Somewhere like
It's
before.
early.
The Hateful
early
Eight comes out on Christmas.
It's
Eve,
early
right?
next
I
year.
think so.
And the final one, to my big announcement.
The big one you're
The
looking
big
forward to.
one I've been talking about, I've been looking for, and I didn't know this until today. I just saw it serendipitously.
Fantastic.
Serendipitously, people. It's the movie I was an extra in, Eric. The Wim Wenders film, Everything Will Be Fine. It comes out theatrical release worldwide December 4th.
Hey, James Franco.
Starring James Franco, Rachel McAdams, Peter Stormare.
Oh, the Rotten Tomatoes is not great on this one.
But it only has 9 critic reviews so far.
Yeah.
So,
Not promising.
which was it was released at the 2015 Berlin Film Festival as a special. It was not a competition. I forgot the exact title.
So the movies fought each other?
No. It was each year the Berlin Film Festival pays tribute to someone. This year was Wim Wenders, him being German and all.
Okay.
That was the film that was displayed at the festival. So I was, much to my surprise, it's coming out December 4th, and it will be playing at the Pepsi Forum. If you
But we
guys,
can't guarantee it's good.
I'm just to see that it came out because I didn't think it would ever get released.
If the movie comes out with semi-decent reviews, I'll go watch it with you.
This isn't very supportive.
Hell, I don't want to pay money for a movie that
I have 2
won't
Cineplex
enjoy.
passes if you want.
Well, still, I don't feel like making you waste.
If you could screen cap the part of the movie that you're in.
I'd be elated if you guys came with me.
You'll be filleted.
I'm not filleting.
I wish I was filleted.
I'm not filleting your for Cineplex tickets.
Do you want to talk about your experience as an extra?
Yeah, sure. I'll talk about it. It was for 2 scenes. It was a very long day. It was from 3 in the afternoon until about 10 o'clock p.m. Yeah.
How'd you get involved with it?
A friend of mine who's in the film studies program at Concordia had told me. No, it's funny. I'll tell the story that leads to that. I was just in the parking lot at Tim Hortons one night, and I just happened to mention, I don't remember why I mentioned Vim Wenders, probably because I'm such a, like, you know, pretentious asshole when it comes to movies. I mentioned Vim Wenders, and my friend's like, oh, we got an email saying he's shooting a film here, and I said, hold on, like, what? And she's like, yeah, I got an email. If you want to participate, I'll give you the email. You can email them, and I did, and they replied to me saying you need to wear this and come on this day, and shooting starts at this time. And I did, and like I said, it was a pretty long day for 2 scenes. Most of the time is just waiting around. There's catering. There was a wardrobe.
Wasn't there a thing that you weren't allowed to eat any of the catering food, but you did?
Right. I think I took some of the catering food, and quickly the producers like, you can't eat that. That's only for the producers and, you know, the rest of the crew. You know, so
did he make you put it down? Or?
No, he didn't make me put it down. I finished it, but yeah, that was a lesson taught.
How much did you get paid for this gig?
No, this was free. They specifically said there was no money involved. There was a credit. I hope if the scene makes the movie. I don't know if the scene made the cut.
Okay.
So it was just a credit, and it was for the fun of it. There was about, 150, 200 extras there? Yeah. I didn't know James Franco or Rachel McAdams were in this movie. They weren't. James Franco was there. I was surprised to see him. I didn't know he was going to be there. I was going because I love Vim Wenders, and I've been a fan of his films for a little while now. And luckily, I got to meet Vim in the bathroom, again, serendipitously.
Well, you filleted him.
No, we didn't get that far. What happened was I became such a fanboy instantly. I'm like, oh my god, this is Vim. I didn't know what to do. I was, you know, ill at ease, and I couldn't like muster up words to say, or the Germans say words, but I couldn't. I even pronounced his name wrong. He was gracious enough to say.
What'd you call him?
I said Wim instead of Vim. Yeah. Now in German, he's like, it's okay. He's like, it's Wim also in America. So I got to take a picture with him, and I spoke to him briefly how much I love Paris, Texas, and all his other films. And yeah, it was a really fun experience.
He seemed happy with the encounter.
He was so like he not that he seemed happy.
I don't think he was as inspired as you were.
I wouldn't say so. He had his notebook right there on the. While he was washing his hands, I saw his notebook of shots and everything.
Oh damn, Paris, Texas too?
No, Steven, no.
Texaning.
Paris harder.
No, it was really surreal. I couldn't believe what happened, but it was one of the great. I hate to say this, it was one of the greatest days of my life.
It was funny because like when we went to Screaming Females, like the last year or whatever, I stole their set list after the show. But can you imagine if you would have stole like his shot? It's
like, I can't read this shit. Oh, also Patrick Watson was there. Who is a folk singer, local folk singer, and well, he's pretty well known.
He played Oshiaga last year.
He's pretty well known.
I feel like I've heard of him.
Well, he's pretty renowned as a musician now. He was in the scene, and again, I heard his songs repeatedly, again and again and again for 6 hours until he said cut.
So extra work, a bit tiresome, but
no, not tiresome, just very languid, not very productive. Just sitting there waiting for your chance, and when you have to stay, when he says shoot, you have to be ready. I wasn't doing much. I was just an audience member in a Patrick Watson concert, basically.
So essentially, you're just like sitting in one spot for a while, talking to whoever's delivering you.
You could walk around, but when it's time to shoot, you have to be in your spot and ready. And you have to say you have to do what the director says. And it's fun, and it's also tiring, like you said.
It's fun if you love the medium, but if you're not passionate about it, you could just be there bored out of your mind.
Right, exactly. James Franco didn't speak to anybody. He was secluded. And what else do I have to say about this experience? I don't know. It was so surreal. I just wanted to speak to them after the shoot too, because I had met a friend who was from Toronto. Well, it wasn't a friend. I had encountered someone. I befriended someone, and he was German. And I'm like, I got to meet Vim. I think you should try to meet him. And I told him we'll go down after the shoot and try to talk to him. And he was pleased that he got to speak to this guy in German. Vim was very excited to speak to him.
Look at you, just like bringing people together.
It was such a good moment.
Jonathan the matchmaker.
So I could tell he was really happy about it. So yeah, I guess that sums up. the experience. Guys, would you like to add anything?
No, but that's the funny thing about meeting celebrities is that, they don't really know who you are. And it's like, you feel like you have so much that you want to tell them, but all they could do is like really be gracious with like all the nice words you have.
Yeah, I mean, when I complimented him on Paris, Texas, it kind of looked like he's got that compliment before. It's like, okay, I've heard this before. I'll take a picture with you, sure, gladly.
But again, it's better than people telling you like, yeah, your movies are not very good, or like, yeah, I don't know who you are.
I don't
like,
think many people do that, though.
No, I know.
In person. Because, internet.
Wait, but did you get the sense that like most of the people there knew who he was? Or
were people I don't think so. I think they were just there because there was a film being shot.
Okay.
There was a couple of people who knew who he was and were interested in his films. Oh. I didn't meet everybody, so I can't speak for everyone, and I'd be presumptuous to say that. Yeah. But for the most part, there was a couple of people that definitely were fans of his and seen his films. So actually, at that point, I'd only seen, I think, about 3 or 4 of his films. 3. Yeah. Paris, Texas, Don't Come Knocking, and I forgot the other one.
Still not bad. You could get a good idea of what.
Right, but the thing is, since then I've seen pretty much all his movies, except for one because it's hard to find until the end of the world.
If anyone has it, send it over here.
It's on VHS, but they don't have it on DVD. I can't. They have it on DVD in Europe. It was like $150 on Amazon.
The hell?
Yeah, the hell with that. I mean. They should really. There's a lot of movies that they don't release, and it sucks because they don't preserve film history very well.
Yeah, especially nowadays when you can kind of store anything online.
But even online, I have a hard time. I found Until the End of the World online. I've yet to finish it because it's 4 hours and a half. So
it really is Until the End of the World.
So I haven't yet finished it, and it was divided in different pieces. So it's not 4 hours straight. It's one disc is a couple of hours, and then the other disc, and it's divided in 4 discs. I don't know if the DVD's like
even
that.
Lord of the Rings is only divided, like one movie is divided over 2 discs.
Well, only the extended edition.
Right. So.
Well, yeah, like I said, so it was really nice to meet them. I don't think that'll ever happen again. Hopefully that's not the pinnacle of my life or my career.
It's all downhill from here.
All downhill.
But if it is, it's a solid pinnacle.
Oh, I don't know about that. Once you get a taste, you want more.
It really sounds like you filleted him.
I did. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with Anyway. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about a movie that came out recently called Steve Jobs, which you may have heard of.
Yes.
Yes. I see some people at the table are not super enthused that I'm going to be talking about this movie, but I think it's worth talking about because I thought this was a really good movie, but for some reason it doesn't seem to be performing really well at the box office.
Does not?
It's not performing well at the box office.
Oh.
Kind of like the other one.
They may have even, they may have even taken it out of theaters just because they weren't making money on it. I'm not sure about that though.
Ooh, I think it only was put out for a limited release.
Possibly, but like even by those standards, like
it had a lot
I guess they were kind of hoping that the whole Steve Jobs angle was going to make a lot of money for them.
But it had a lot of trailers. How could it have?
I mean, it had like 1 or 2 trailers.
Well, what's the what are the?
Oh, you mean when you say trailers, you mean like commercials?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it definitely had promotion.
What are the figures?
The figure? It made $7 million opening weekend, so I think that's so.
Did they beat the budget?
No, the budget was $30 million.
Oh boy.
So yeah, that's only $1 million more than what the Ashton Kutcher Steve Jobs movie made whenever that came out. Yeah, so the weird thing is, the movie opened to kind of wide critical acclaim, yet that doesn't seem to have translated into box office money, despite the fact that, you would have thought that this was a movie topic that would have drawn people in.
Yeah, but we are kind of removed at this point from like Steve Jobs' passing, so maybe like whatever interest or hype there was around this figure has died down.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be that people have seen way too many Steve Jobs interpretations, and they're not really interested in seeing another one. And admittedly, I wasn't really interested in seeing another Steve Jobs movie until I saw the names that were attached to this project. Namely, it was being written by Aaron Sorkin, who's responsible for writing The Social Network from a few years ago. Also created the TV series The Newsroom and The West Wing.
And Moneyball.
Which I wasn't a huge fan of. But
Moneyball.
Jonathan really loved Moneyball, but I was not a huge fan
Agreed
of it. I thought it was okay. Anyway, not to dwell too much on Moneyball. But yeah, so I mean, it was written by Aaron Sorkin and it was directed by Danny Boyle, who's directed a ton of good movies like Slumdog Millionaire, Trainspotting, 127 Hours, Sunshine, 28 Days Later, one of my favorite horror movies. Right?
Good horror movie.
Yeah, and starring Michael Fassbender, who's like awesome in everything.
The best actor, maybe nowadays.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I love how like in the last 4 years he's just exploded and like everything he does is great.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, between his role as Magneto in the X-Men First Class franchise, and then, you know, he was...
Shame, which no one seems to talk about.
He was also good in Shame.
Or all of Steve McQueen's movies.
Yeah, but I think he really broke out into the mainstream when it came to, like, X-Men First Class.
Yeah. But, I mean, you know, this seems to suggest that maybe his mainstream appeal isn't exactly what people had hoped. Yeah. Oh, in addition to Michael Fassbender, it also stars Kate Winslet, Seth Rogen, and Jeff Daniels.
That's a weird attachment, Seth Rogen.
No, he's good in this.
What? Really?
Yeah, he plays Steve Wozniak, you know, one of the head programmers at Apple.
Yeah,
Okay.
Who was supposedly like the brains behind Apple, whereas like Steve Jobs was like the promoter of everything.
Okay. I just can't see Seth Rogen as an actor.
See, that's what I thought too when I had initially heard that he was cast, because it's like, you know, he's a big name. He kind of like fits the part if you see the two
He has
images.
charisma. He's likable.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but you don't really see him as an actor who could really take on a role.
Right.
So, like, start with him. How was he?
No, I mean, I thought it was fine. There's nothing that I would really complain about in his performance. I mean, you know, you hear a bit of his kind of like Seth Rogen
His
character.
laugh.
No, just because like he has such a kind of distinctive character, but you know, for the most part, I was like, you know, he totally was fine in this. It's not. I mean, it wasn't to the point where, you know, like, you know, when you say that an actor has a great performance, it's like you stop seeing the actor and you start seeing the character. This was, I mean, in this case, I still kind of see Seth Rogen playing Steve Wozniak, but it wasn't like he was bad. Like, it was totally fine within the movie. It definitely didn't detract from the overall experience.
Was there any like Michael Fassbender just like out acting him on certain scenes, like just giving more energy?
Okay.
No, I mean,
No.
no, don't get me wrong. Michael Fassbender was great, but I mean, the movie was pretty much written so that everyone kind of looks good. You know, like like one of the things I really loved about this movie is that the dialogue is extremely fast-paced and snappy, which is kind of Aaron Sorkin's distinctive style of writing dialogue. And so there's a lot of back and forth between the characters. And so you kind of, and yeah, I mean, they just have really good opportunities to kind of play off each other. So it never really feels like anyone is out acting anyone, but everyone is acting well.
Is the film like a biopic in the sense of like it tells his life, or how did they tell the story?
Yeah, so that was something I was a bit surprised at, because I had heard that the movie actually doesn't tell like his life story. It actually focuses on the days of three main product launches, like Apple product launches, and you know, Steve Jobs kind of working behind the scene, and you know what Steve Jobs was doing on those days. What I was surprised to see when I actually saw the movie is that it's not just that it focuses on those days. It actually, like, the movie is pretty firmly divided into 3 acts, and each part of the movie, each third of the movie, takes place like in the half hour before Steve Jobs goes out to introduce the product.
So what are the 3 products, just so we know, if you remember?
I remember. I mean, first was probably, I don't remember exactly the products. The first one was probably the Mac. Like, that was the one that was behind like that famous 1984 Super Bowl ad.
Yeah.
With the Chicago Bears? Is that the one?
No, like the 1984 one.
Yeah, wait, no.
The one
Like
That's not the year the Chicago Bears won the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, that is incorrect.
Did Bono perform that year?
Bono did not perform that year.
Yeah.
Steven?
So yeah, there was the Mac that was coming out that year, and I guess it was supposed to be kind of like the first big, you know, Apple Macintosh product, and shows, you know, him behind the scenes. The second one, I forget what year it is, but it takes place after Steve had been kicked out of Apple, and he kind of started another company and was launching another product that would eventually fail. And then the movie actually ends with him launching, was it called the iMac? It's that Mac computer that kind of has like the transparent cover. Really, you haven't seen any of those?
No, I'm not. You know, I'm not into software that much.
No, well, it was one of those Mac computer where I think like the whole computer was inside the monitor and it was transparent.
The transparents are a bit colorful in the back end of it.
I actually haven't seen.
So you can see everything.
I'm not good with technology. I'm sorry.
No, but I thought maybe you had seen them around in schools or something. But whatever.
Nope.
So I mean, those are the three main product launches, and it kind of tries to show how Steve Jobs was, thinking about these products and how he wanted them to sort of be presented a certain way, and how he wanted them to like look and feel a certain way.
But aren't there like moments in his life that occurred outside of those 3 days that they showed in the movie, or is it really just like those 3 days?
I mean, so that's the thing. I'm not entirely sure how historically accurate this movie is because, I mean, there's a lot that kind of happens at each of these product launches. Like, you've got scenes of him kind of arguing with the programmers, trying to get the product, ready to present. There's him arguing with, some of his assistants. There's him, and, one of the big main storyline threads of the movie is his kind of relationship with his estranged daughter. I mean, this woman played by Catherine Watterson, who was his girlfriend and then had a kid and claims that the kid belongs to Steve Jobs, but, he is denying it. So that kind of forms like a really big storyline within the movie. So that kind of makes me think that the movie's probably not historically accurate because I'm very skeptical that all these things were happening within the half hour before each of his product launches. Jonathan, you have a question?
I have a question, Stephen.
Yes?
I don't even think you should mention that it's not historically accurate. It probably isn't historically accurate.
No, but
I just wanted to ask you, what is the objective of this movie, in your opinion?
Okay, so I'll break down your comment there because first you said that it's not important that
the historical accuracy is never. I don't think it's important in a biopic.
But, okay, so that's actually what I was kind of building up to there because that's what I wanted to say that it's probably not historically accurate in the sense that these events don't all happen on those days. But because you kind of know that intuitively when you're watching the movie, you're not really it kind of gets you in the state of mind where you're not even really looking for historical accuracy anymore.
You're looking for the drama. It's made.
Exactly. So it kind of like takes out that idea of, I need to see when Steve Jobs is in the garage making the computer. I need to see when Steve Jobs, does the other thing. Like, no, it's very concentrated.
Right.
And there's a couple of flashbacks that show some key moments from, Steve Jobs and Apple's history. But for the most part, just the format of the movie kind of like gets you out of this mindset where it needs to be historically accurate and follow all the main beats of his life, which is kind of what the Ashton Kutcher Jobs movie did.
I didn't see that one.
Which I probably shouldn't call the Ashton Kutcher Jobs movie because it's not like Ashton Kutcher made the movie. Yeah.
No, but I think it's probably how most people
see it. Yeah.
But that's the one that, like, when you say certain things about the Apple product, I always think back to the Ashton Kutcher Steve Jobs one because that's the one that I had seen. And that one I found like the movie felt like a Wikipedia article come to life. Like, how there's certain hit points in Steve Jobs' life and they just managed to put all of those on screen with a story and like action.
Yeah. And exactly. And so to answer your other question about what the purpose of this movie is, I mean, I think it's just, it's a kind of a character study. It's just to kind of show, Steve Jobs and what he was like and what his kind of like his weaknesses and strengths were. Because you see that a lot during the movie where he'll be arguing with people that he wants, like, in the first part of the movie, he wants to make sure that the Mac computer, when it turns on, it says hello, because that shows that it's friendly and it's inviting and people are going to want to use it. And, there's a lot of struggles with that. He kind of like yells at a lot of people to fix that issue that it's not saying hello because it seems like a really big deal to him.
Okay.
Right? But then at the same time, you've kind of got people who are very skeptical about the product because they're saying, it's too expensive and no one's going to want to buy it. And, that actually does happen. They show how some of the product, like, he has a lot of these ideas about how the products should work. But then when they go to market, they don't exactly become the most successful products.
Okay.
So it shows a lot of kind of his strengths and weaknesses in that sense.
Doesn't glorify him, does it?
No, if anything, it kind of makes him look bad because he's kind of a jerk to everyone in the movie.
Okay.
And I think it was his wife or something that was not happy about this movie being released because it paints him in a bit of a negative light.
Okay.
So the cinematography was good, and like I said, the dialogue. I mean, it's a bit unrealistic in the sense that no one can talk this fast and have this much
no, but again, it's not going for naturalism. I don't think so.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no one can have this much rapid fire banter between them, but just because the dialogue feels so tight, you're just kind of constantly interested in what people are saying and what's happening. And the movie held my attention throughout.
How did they show certain things? Like, he wants the thing to turn on and say hello. How did they show that? Like, with flashbacks?
No. Like, that was happening like before the presentation. Like, they were coming up with some kind of system error where it wasn't saying hello, and he's like, fix it,
So he was rash, you'd say?
Yeah, he was like very aggressive that it needed to do what he said it would.
Okay. Dictatorship. Dictator.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, they kind of exactly. They don't try to portray him like he's this genius visionary. Like he definitely has some. They definitely show that he has these ideas that he's kind of obsessed about, but they usually don't take off.
What I'm hearing from you is, I think they're just trying to show his obsession with something. An obsession is always interesting because you don't really know why someone's obsessed with something.
Sure.
So I think that might be a take on the movie.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that? Maybe?
Yeah, possibly. Well,
I don't say like he doesn't say why he was interested in Apple or creating this product.
no, well, he wanted it to be a good product so that it would sell. But you know, they show how, despite at least for most of the movie, they kind of show how, despite his efforts in kind of like steering these products in a certain direction, most of them usually don't end up doing well until finally, you know, he releases the iMac at the end of the movie, and that one people know kind of like revitalizes Apple.
Okay.
So we get like no iPod, no.
Yeah, it doesn't cover the iPod. He does kind of. They do kind of reference the iPod, you know, towards the end of the movie where he's kind of like mentions to himself that he has this, or not to himself, but he mentions he has this idea of like putting all of your music like in the palm of your hand type of thing. But there wasn't much more to it beyond that.
It was more as an Easter egg. Huh?
That is a slogan in a commercial. I know it. I absolutely know it.
Whatever. I mean, yeah, it's more of an Easter egg than anything else. And yeah, again, you know, not only the product launches, but a lot of the movie kind of focuses on his relationship with this, you know, girl who is apparently his daughter, but he's not willing to accept that.
Played by?
She's played, no one well known. She's played by a couple of different actresses at different ages.
Okay.
But yeah, but that kind of gives the movie some of its emotional core because it's sort of a story that people maybe can relate to a little bit more easily.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I think this is a really good movie, and I feel like it deserves to have done better than it did at the box office. Although I guess I can understand that maybe audiences are just kind of tired of hearing the Steve Jobs story. But, you know, I still hope that it kind of gets a bit more recognition once Oscar season comes around.
Second movie we're going to be speaking about is the new Seth Rogen film, The Night Before, which is an early Christmas movie, if you want to put it that way.
Early in the sense that it comes out several weeks before Christmas.
Right. Now, this movie is directed by Jonathan Levine, who's done 50-50 with Seth Rogen, and he's done Warm Bodies. I don't know if any of you have seen that.
Zombie romantic comedy
yeah,
movie.
Sort of. I didn't see it yet either. Film's written by Evan Goldberg, Kyle Hunter, Jonathan Levine, and Ariel Shafir. I don't know, Steven, you've seen the movie. Do you have a problem with 4 writers on one movie?
No.
No? Not at all?
I mean, I don't care as long as the movie's good and I know who...
Because this is an old technique in the
to give credit to.
I want to just put a little film history here. It used to be, even in Italian cinema, there used to be like 5 writers on one film. And it used to work really well. But nowadays, I kind of question it, and I'll explain why a little later. So here's a small plot summary. So Anthony Mackie, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and Seth Rogen have been friends since childhood. And for some years, they've gathered together every Christmas Eve for a night of debauchery and, wild fun.
Just merriment.
What? Just
debauchery and merriment.
Yeah. So I'm going to go through each character. Ethan is played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Is somewhat of a slacker, and Chris and Isaac have taken care of him since he's lost his parents in a tragic car accident. He's been in the worst shape out of all of them, as his career hasn't gone anywhere, and his relationship with his dream girl went awry. Okay?
Awry, you say?
Awry. Yeah. Isaac, who is Seth Rogen, there's not much to him. He's Jewish, and he's on the brink of fatherhood.
We only mention he's Jewish because the movie mentions it a lot.
There's a lot of jokes about religion. There's sexual humor, which is
it's a Seth Rogen movie. There's going to be a lot of like vulgar humor,
right?
You know what you're signing up for.
Anthony Mackie is Chris, who plays an NFL star who's recently become a star because he's resorted to steroids to help his career.
This is something that the movie makes apparent pretty early on.
Very early on.
That's not a spoiler.
It's not a spoiler at all. And when I went to see this movie, I had messaged Steven saying, "Steven, help me. My friends are telling me to take me to The Night Before."
And similar with me, I went to this movie with my friends. I thought it would be all right, but based on what I saw from the trailer, I thought this was going to kind of be like another Seth Rogen stoner debauchery comedy.
Yeah,
and neither of you invited me,
and neither of us invited Eric.
Right, because Eric works on Saturday nights.
He doesn't get down on a Saturday night.
He doesn't get down Saturday night.
Get down Saturday night.
That was great.
Yeah.
So. I mentioned Steven, and I'm like, Steven, help me. I don't know what to do. I'm seeing The Night Before. I've been dragged through this. And And he's
And
like, I enjoyed it. I'm like, oh god, he enjoyed it, and he's like, don't overthink it. So I'm like, okay,
I
won't
looked
overthink
into
it.
your soul through that text messaging chat room.
So
and I said, Jonathan, give The Night Before a chance.
So I did, and I said to myself, okay, from what I saw, what I've heard of it, I know the goal of this film. I know the genre. I know the objectives. Let me critique it and enjoy it at the same time on what it's trying to achieve. It plays on the same two genres there: the Christmas movie that's a little bit sentimental and the naughty boy comedy.
Yeah.
Right.
Seth Rogen stoner comedy.
Right, stoner comedy. So what I was really hoping, though, Steven, when you told me I enjoyed it, is a lot of, I guess, yeah, edgy stuff. Like, I was delighted, this is going to sound wrong, that I saw phalluses. Full-grown, erect.
No, they were flaccid. They were, okay, they were maybe chubby.
I think it's flaccid. We're not going to get into that.
How was Vin Vendors?
Not flaccid.
I did not have sex with Vin Vendors.
So yeah, I was delighted to see that edginess because it's debauchery. You gotta have.
You always gotta push boundaries.
You gotta push boundaries.
The movie does that.
And it does that, and it has its laughs. Why I brought up the four writers before, Steven, is like I said before, after the movie, I messaged you. I'm like, Steven, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
I looked past all the flaws because I really enjoyed it. It plays a lot like a sketch comedy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
That's why I brought up the four writers.
I mean, sort of in the sense that you mean that they kind of go to one place and things happen there, then they go to a different place and things happen there.
Yeah, like a sketch comedy. So it doesn't have that film feel, but the point
When you
of
say
a comedy,
film feel, you mean
atmospherically. Well, no, but
like
it's a comedy,
like where it has like a big idea behind it.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have a big idea behind it. It's just a bunch of scenes, sketches, and it's there to make you laugh.
I mean, it's not some kind of like indie experimental.
No, not at all.
Right.
It's there to make you laugh, and it has to hit its notes on the jokes.
Yeah.
And I saw that was the objective of the film, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna judge it on how many laughs it gives me, and it gave me a lot of laughs. It had a lot of self-referential jokes, Jewish jokes, cameos, sexual humor that pushes some boundaries.
Yeah.
What else did it have?
Just kind of like, well,
it had something that I didn't like, but I appreciated the try. I don't know if you noticed this, the Anthony Mackie character, where they're making fun of
the product
placement in movies, but they're inadvertently doing it at the same time.
Yeah.
I found that amusing.
Yeah, I thought that was funny too. Or like even his kind of like social media.
His social media thing, yeah, I found that very.
So yeah, you've even got like some very light satire.
I was hoping they'd lampoon some things, and they did. What I truly liked, and what is always a key in this movie, in these type of movies, is acting and charisma. And these guys are all really likable and play their role really well.
I mean, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he's like a very likable protagonist.
The girl who plays his love interest is a very good sport. I'm gonna say this. She's very good at this.
It sounds weirder when you say it like that. Actually,
you really want, even though you know it's gonna happen, you really want them. To work.
Because she seems so cute.
She's so adorable. I think she's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's Lizzie Chaplin, right?
Kaplan. Do you know if she's been in any other
she's in Mean Girls.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you remember the punk girl, the weird eccentric girl?
Was she one of the Mean Girls, or she?
No, she was helping Lindsay Lohan's character getting back at the Mean Girls.
I don't remember the movie that well enough to remember her.
She looks gothic.
I remember that. Yeah.
Okay, I remember.
That's her. She doesn't look like this. I mean, in this movie, she looks very.
And Mindy Kaling is also.
Mindy
in this movie.
Kaling is really funny as the friend of.
Like the friend of this other girl, Lizzie Kaplan.
Sure.
Normally, Mindy Kaling, not a really big fan of hers, but I did enjoy her in this movie. I find she can be kind of unbearable in large doses, and this movie had her just enough to make her enjoyable.
I don't know much about her. Her background is comedy, Steven?
No, yeah, she has a comedic background. She was in The Office and then went off.
She's in television, sketch comedy again.
Yeah, and then she started her own show called The Mindy Project, which...
Okay. Oh, I heard of that, okay.
Some people I know but I haven't been able to get into at all because I find it's just... I mean, I don't want to get into reviewing The Mindy Project, but I find it's just her kind of being annoying.
Okay.
So I don't enjoy her in large doses. But yeah, she was enjoyable in this movie because it was kind of smaller doses.
Also, another great actress. I forgot the actress' name. It's the girl who plays
the wife?
No, not the wife. She's good too. She's very acceptable.
Yeah, she's good.
It was the swindler of drugs.
Oh, I don't remember her name, but she's from...
I
What's
saw
that
her
show?
name. I saw her name too, and I forgot it.
What's that show she's
Let
in?
me go back to
Broad
it.
City.
Ilana Glazer.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, she's funny too.
Yeah, so
funny.
she's one of the stars of Broad City, which is, I think, on Comedy Central.
Yeah. Yeah.
I sure would love to find a good place to stream it.
Yeah.
But oh well, we live in Canada and can't stream all your nice shows on the company website.
At least we got free healthcare.
At least we got free healthcare.
So I want to talk about the strengths of this movie, Steven. I thought the strengths of this movie were the cameos. One.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they had like lots of great actors cameoing in the movie, and they all played their parts really well.
Yeah.
Oh, Michael Shannon.
Michael Shannon is the when I didn't know Michael Shannon was in this movie.
Me neither.
So when I saw him, I was in awe, and I'm like, oh my god, Michael Shannon's doing comedy. I don't believe this.
I didn't even recognize him at first, but I'm like, wait, is
That's Michael Shannon.
And he's actually he plays kind of like
he plays like a philosophical drug dealer who's like a wise. Yeah,
he's like the wise drug dealer
Yeah.
that you know the main character of the movie used to get drugs from when they were in high school.
Right.
Now he's kind of like stuck around and
Right,
still
exactly.
deals drugs. But yeah, he like brings this very intense performance.
As it's also a very self-referential thing that he brings his intense performance because he even says it as one of his jokes. Like, I'm known for my quiet intensity, and that's what he is known for in most of
Michael
his
Shannon.
dramatic movies. So I was delighted to see it.
I don't know if you've seen him in Man of Steel as Zod.
I haven't seen him as Zod. In
I thought he was a great Zod.
But that was a serious role, or that was a.
I mean, it was a serious role, but he was more over the top. That's
Well-
one of his more loud intensity roles.
Well, yeah. Well, like I said, the film works with that strength of the cameos.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, all the performances in the movie are great. Even Seth Rogen, especially, I'd like to point him out because for a long time, you kind of get tired of Seth Rogen playing these like stonery characters.
Yeah.
And here he's doing the same thing, but now,
But
now-
more intense drugs.
Yeah, I mean, now his character is on coke and shrooms, and he's hallucinating, and he just brings so much more in because of the extra drugs he's on now.
Yeah.
He brings so much more intensity to the performance, so it feels kind of like a refreshing performance from Seth Rogen.
Even though it's still a formula like the dude-centric stuff where it's like all three guys going out on the body.
It's like a very bro thing.
You know the formula. It's gonna.
And there's like a girl that they're kind of
there's a-
chasing
right.
throughout the night.
They
They're
all
trying to
have-
get into the big party.
the big, which is the Nutcracker Ball. We should mention.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, it kind of hits those particular points. It does get kind of dark at times.
Yeah, I was just
But-
speaking about that, but I thought some of it might have been uneven. But you know what? Because I enjoyed it so much, I disregarded it completely. That's saying something, Steven.
I mean, it gets dark because, they do talk about how Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character lost his parents.
Right.
But they also bring a lot of, like, sweetness to that place because then, he's, like, really down, but then he's got his...
But it's going to turn out well.
Yeah,
so
and he's got his friends to back him up. So it goes to some dark places, but then kind of...
I
picks
worry
itself
about
back
that
up.
because that doesn't have as much poignancy as if it had a different formula.
I mean, should it not have gone that dark?
I don't think so. I don't know. I didn't think it was that necessary to go that dark because that wasn't the objective of the film, like I said. But
I think it adds a bit more weight to the characters and makes them more
Joseph
likable.
Gordon-Levitt character is is a heavier character than the other two, for sure. I mean, but I said it before. He's the one who's going through the toughest time.
Sure.
Because he's a failed musician and he's had trouble with his girlfriend and he's lost his parents. So it kind of centers around his character, if you think of it. Mm-hmm. The other guys are kind of just pawns in his story.
I mean, another thing I really liked about the movie is how it tries to kind of replicate that feel of the old, Christmas classics movie. Like, there's a lot of things in this movie that feel very dated, but on purpose. Like, there's, little, like, wipe transitions where, the screen slides across type of thing. And there's, like, these little sound effects, of, like, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Like, very kind of playful things that you don't hear, that... You kind of heard this type of score in movies during the 90s, I guess, but it kind of like fell out of style. And it's kind of cute how they brought it back just to, invoke that old school feeling of those classic Christmas movies.
Speaking of, Steven, thank you for sparking a memory. One of my favorite references in the movie was to the movie Big, where they played Runaway from Kanye West. I thought that was a really exciting scene.
It's in the trailer, so that's...
Yeah, it's not a spoiler.
But yeah, that was, gets you super pumped.
Yeah, as soon as you get the first note, I'm like, yes, they're doing this.
That was fun.
They do a couple of cover songs. They did Christmas in Hollis. I think it's from Run DMC. That's their cover, their special thing. So the relationship, Steven.
So there's this relationship that Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character has with...
Trouble with commitment, let's say.
With like Lizzie Kaplan's character that's running throughout the movie. Mm-hmm. And, there's a lot of things that, he has trouble with commitment with her. But the main issue I had with their relationship through the movie is that I never really bought that they should be together.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Because they had apparently the story goes that they had broken up before the events of the movie because Joseph Gordon-Levitt
he didn't want to meet her parents because he had trouble with maybe dealing with the death. It's left ambiguous. It's either the death of his parents or because he just wasn't ready for commitment. And if you look at it, they're all still overgrown adolescents. So it's not like he was ready for that.
Sure, but you don't really feel like he changes so much during the movie to kind of justify her taking him back.
That's what I felt too. But
from her character's perspective, it doesn't feel like she should still be interested in him. And
that's what didn't make sense either. And at the end, it kind of ties it up neatly. Yeah, remember when she says, "Oh, I kind of stalked you too," blah blah blah.
I mean, the movie kind of tries to tie itself up a bit too neatly. Like, I would have been totally fine with Joseph Gordon-Levitt being rejected by her, but still growing as a person. Like, that's a fine ending.
That's a fine ending too. But I think they did that for, like I said, the formula.
It was unfortunately kind of like formulaic Hollywood thing that they had to do.
But what they did do well, I thought, with their chemistry, I thought that you kind of wanted it to work out with them, even though you don't know anything about them. You don't know why they.
But I would have been okay with it not working out because it still would have made sense in the context.
I don't know. It kind of crushed me that they weren't. I was kind of rooting for them the whole movie, and I can't really explain why. I guess. It's because
I just wasn't really buying that they should be in a relationship together.
I don't know. It's hard. I really wanted it to work out, and the formula gave that to me.
And even a lot of the other subplots with the other two characters kind of get wrapped up a little bit too neatly.
Yeah, Anthony Mackie's character with admitting.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of movie where,
but this is
it would have totally been okay to leave some of their endings ambiguous because. It doesn't really matter if Seth Rogen's wife has the baby or whatever.
Steven, I thought of that, but I said this is not the movie's objective. The movie's objective is it's overgrown adolescents entering adulthood and trying to, realize it. And it's a Christmas movie, so it's going to have that Hollywood ending. It's going to have little sentimental narratives. And I thought I'm like, okay, I'm okay with this. It's a heartwarming movie. I don't think... I don't know if it's going to have a seminal influence, but I think... I liked it. I really enjoyed it, and I don't know if I watch the second time, I'll feel the same way.
But no, I mean, it's a fun Christmas movie, and I definitely recommend going out to see it. Like, even if someone like me who I wasn't that hyped up from the trailer,
I wasn't that at all.
Yeah, but I found that I actually ended up enjoying the movie more than I expected to.
I had a lot of heartily laughs.
Yeah. So there's definitely things that you can criticize about it, but I think it's still a good movie, and I would definitely recommend people see it.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it too. And it's just you don't have to be too critical about it. Just
have fun with it.
Try to have fun with it, and if it makes you laugh, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And now it's time for our main event. That's all I got. But what I'm going to be talking about tonight is going to be the brand new Rocky movie, in air quotes I say this, called Creed.
Not the band.
Not Rocky 7.
I actually told someone that I really wanted to go see Creed, and they're like, the band, they're coming to play. Like, God damn it. So this is the 7th in the Rocky franchise, or the 1st in the Creed franchise. Two different ways of looking at it. Now, this movie actually takes place after the events of all the other Rocky movies. And it follows Michael B. Jordan, who plays Adonis, who is the son of Apollo Creed. Now, for those of you who might not be super familiar with Rocky history, Apollo Creed and Rocky had historic bouts in the first and second Rocky movies.
Fierce rivals.
And after the second movie, Rocky topples him and becomes the world champion. But then, in the third movie, Rocky loses the world championship, and Apollo Creed trains him in order to beat the villain of that movie, who is Clubber Lang, played by Mr. T. Okay, one thing I have to mention is that on the condition that Apollo trained Rocky in the third movie, they held a fight behind closed doors, just the two of them, to see which one of these competitors was the best. So that's how the third movie ends. It's just them two in the ring, about to box, and then the movie cuts from there. So really great moment. What ends up happening in the fourth Rocky movie is there's a Russian villain or whoever called Ivan Drago, who ends up killing Apollo Creed in a boxing match. So that's all the important backstory that you need. So this movie, like I said, stars Michael B. Jordan and reprising his role as Rocky is Sylvester Stallone. The director of the movie, who is also one of the writers of this movie and who wrote the initial story of this movie, his name is Ryan Coogler. He's best known for making Fruitvale Station, also starring Michael B. Jordan.
They're bros.
They're bros. So, essentially, the movie follows, like I said, Adonis Creed, played by Michael B. Jordan. We start the movie and he's in a correctional facility or something like that for troubled youths, and you could see him fighting in this facility. Like, already you start the movie off with him fighting, right? But then a woman comes to him and says, "Would you like to come live with me?" This woman is revealed to be the wife of Apollo Creed. Now, the son, the boy, Adonis, that she's adopting here is not actually her son. It's actually the child of an affair between Apollo and another woman. So, that's...
Okay, so that's why we didn't know about Adonis before this movie.
That's how we're able to get away with it.
Yeah.
So then we go forward a couple years into the future when Adonis is a grown-up man, and he has a good job working for a financial firm, but he on occasion he'll go down to Tijuana, Mexico, and do a fight in barroom brawls because it seems, and this is where you could see like he really has this desire to be a fighter. Like there's some itch that's deep down inside him, like inherently he needs to be a fighter,
like his daddy.
Right.
Daddy.
So then he decides he's going to quit his job and commit his life to just being the greatest fighter on earth and doing... So after he goes to a gym where he meets Avon Barksdale.
We know it, but what's his character? I forget his... something Harris.
Ed? No.
No, not Ed Harris. That's his real name.
Wood Harris.
Wood Harris. That's it. Played by Wood.
I was thinking like Ed Wood, Ed Harris, Wood Harris.
Wood Harris, the great Avon Barksdale.
Who tells him that he doesn't have what it takes to be a boxer because you have to fight from underneath. And Adonis, you know, he's been living with Apollo Creed's wife this whole time, who has money. So, you know, he's not fighting from the bottom. They call him Hollywood. You know, he's wealthy.
He's not from Amsterdam, man. You know,
he has the name behind him. He doesn't know what it's like to come from absolutely nothing.
Wait, but
like
he actually
Baltimore.
he did come from nothing.
Yeah, but he's been raised most of his life in the
Steven, he wasn't raised in Baltimore.
Wait, like at what age was he when he was in the correctional facility?
I think he was about 10 at that point, and I guess.
Oh, okay.
And I guess when we meet him again, he's.
Okay. I was under the impression that he was like 17 in the correctional facility, and then they fixed him in 3 years, and now he's successful.
Okay, no, that's on me then.
Okay, so he was like a child in the correctional facility?
Yeah.
That's pretty messed up.
So then, Adonis goes to Philadelphia to go meet his father's rival and close friend, Rocky Balboa, and he wants him to train him. But Rocky says he doesn't do that anymore, just deny him. So Adonis starts to train by himself to get into it. And Rocky, we see him at this point in his life, he doesn't really have anyone. His wife has passed away, his friends have passed away. He's kind of a loner. He's
as he started. So he's back where he started. That's brilliant.
A little bit, but the problem is the difference is that when he started in the initial Rocky movie, he was a loner. But this is a Rocky that has had all this love in his life and is now gone.
I think that's interesting. That's one that out of all the things you said so far, that's the most intriguing point, and it's not a main plot point.
It is. I'll get to it a little bit later, but essentially Adonis goes to train solo, and Rocky, finding out that this is Apollo Creed's son, eventually decides to go train him, and this is our movie. Now,
wait, how far into the movie does it take to get all this established?
So essentially, this is all within the first act, and it all happens a lot quicker than I would have done it if it was my film, because I feel like it happens within 20 minutes, let's say, into the movie.
How long is the movie?
2 hours.
Okay, so this happens pretty fast.
And that's the thing that I dislike the most, because, well, not the most, but Rocky is like the big name of this franchise, but essentially we're trying to not necessarily gift this franchise to Michael B. Jordan and his character Adonis, but certainly he is the focal point of this movie. So I would have liked a lot more time spent alone with his character, and you bring in Rocky somewhere within the second act, not the first.
So you feel like they were rushing a bit to get to Rocky?
A little bit, yeah. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of the Rocky franchise, but I've certainly seen all the films. I've enjoyed most of them, and I have a certain attachment to the Rocky character because I just enjoy his arc in all the films. I think he's interesting.
You gotta love his slurring.
Yeah. And when I saw that this movie was happening, I'm like, great, more story from this character. And especially, like I just told you, this is a man who's lost everything. So,
and not that, but it's a spin-off that still follows from the original. So it's pretty much the perfect continuation.
Exactly. So I wanted so bad to love this movie. But in the end, I liked it.
I was hoping you would have said you hated it.
Oh, I couldn't hate it because at the end of the day, it's not a bad movie. But I couldn't love it because when I love a movie, it's because it's something I've never seen before or it grabs me in a way that's different. I like this movie because you've seen this story before in a lot of ways because if you're following the main character who is Michael B. Jordan, it's just a story of him trying to prove himself and stand up, make a name for himself. It's a story that you've seen before, and I felt as I was watching it, I was able to call a lot of the beats that were going to happen, or that are going to happen in the future, or they're going to happen in a couple of minutes,
But at the same point, it's because this boxing movies, out of all sports movies, has been the most, plowed field. That's the problem with boxing movies. So you're not going to see any. Chances are you're not going to see anything. You're not going to see something like Raging Bull because that's a little bit too edgy to do these days, and especially in the Hollywood system. But you have to look for those beats and just see if they hit them, much like in comedy.
But that's the thing. I felt they did hit them, and for all intents and purposes, the movie is functional. It works great. The emotion's there. But my brain was turned on when watching this movie, and for some reason, I couldn't get as invested into this movie as I was for. I know it's probably like the pinnacle of the series, but the first Rocky movie.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Do you feel like it maybe hurt because the movie has been getting really widespread critical acclaim? I think it's at 95% on Rotten Tomatoes or something.
Much.
Do you think that maybe set your expectations too high?
I think it definitely helped, but even from the first trailer of this film, I was completely hyped up, and I'm like, I will probably love this movie. And sadly,
it looks like it's doing everything right.
Yeah, and sadly, it didn't hit the point that made me love it. But it's certainly an enjoyable movie. Some of the things that I want to talk about is the introduction of Rocky into this movie. Like I said, he is rushed fairly quickly into this movie, but it just seems like when Adonis goes to Philadelphia, he goes into Rocky's restaurant, and Rocky just kind of enters in the scene. You know what it means to build a scene of Rocky is your most known character, so you want to build up the anticipation for his appearance into the thing. Maybe tease him slowly coming in, or you hear him talking but you don't really see him, or he's out of focus or something, and then you bring him in. Well, this movie just kind of presented him he walked up the stairs from the basement and he's like, hey, how can I help you? You know what I mean?
Sounds like Zoidberg. Hey,
How
can I help you?
That was a terrible Zoidberg.
How can I help you?
And I found that was really weak. Another thing that, quite frankly, I hated that they did, was, like I mentioned earlier, when Rocky and Apollo trained together, they had a fight behind closed doors. In this movie, Adonis brings up this fight to Rocky in order to gain his trust kind of thing and prove that he's his son. But they actually reveal who won this encounter. And I hated that because this fight was just about, it wasn't about who wins or who loses. It's just two fighters fighting behind closed doors, no cameras, no publicity, no
mutual
nothing.
respect.
Mutual respect, just to see who is better, just to see who the better fighter is. And in this movie, they tell you who it is, and it's you just ruined one of those great movie mysteries that should have stayed a mystery.
Where does it go from there?
It doesn't go anywhere from there as far as this particular thing that I'm talking about, but it's just, you just gave away, it's like a magician just giving away his magic trick. It means nothing afterwards, right?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with you. I'm actually also, now that you're, I haven't seen the movie, but because you're telling me that they kind of gave that away, I'm also not happy that they decided to do that.
Yeah, and it didn't add anything. It's what would it have hurt in the movie for Rocky just to say, well, that's between me and your father,
Yeah.
One of the things that I have to mention is I love one shots in films. The wonders. The
Tracking shots.
Tracking shots. Whatever you want to call them, right?
Continuous takes.
I absolutely love them, and I think they could be some of the best scenes in the movie if properly used. This movie used so many, at least 5, to the point that I was losing interest when seeing them. Like, oh great, another one of these shots. Like, you know the True Detective highway shot that we're like, oh my god, this is such an amazing shot. And then season 2 used it to excess.
Oh, okay, you mean like the kind of aerial view thing.
Yeah. Like,
okay.
I love, like, when I love a shot, I love a shot. But if I'm going to see, like, the same thing over and over, it becomes less impressive.
Sure.
So this movie had a bunch of tracking shots that, like, and some of them, and the thing about my thing about tracking shots is if you're going to put them in a movie, what you're tracking and building up to has to be worth it. Because there's one fight where very close to the beginning of the movie, we follow him from the locker room, walking outside, getting in the ring, and we see him fighting all in about one continuous take. Or maybe there might have been a hidden cut in there, but regardless. And then it just kind of cuts for no reason. Like, you didn't build it up to anything. It just followed.
They were kind of just doing it for like the technical.
Yeah.
For technical reasons.
And
just to show that they could do an entire boxing match in one take.
And that's the stupidest thing, is because this scene that I just described to you at the beginning of the movie, you follow him and you see him box a little bit in this one take, but then they cut it. But there's a scene later in the movie when he takes like his first professional fight instead of fighting in bars. You actually like see this entire fight in one take, including like stops and like talking to the coach, all in one take, and it's like, it's phenomenal. But that should have been the only one shot in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, I would probably have to see it in action to decide whether I agree with you or not. Because just on the principle of doing a boxing match or any kind of fight scene, in one take already impresses me and interests me.
Exactly.
So I really need to actually see the movie and see these continuous takes in action to decide before I can agree with you if they are indeed excessive.
I think there were just too many that it kind of like devalued the importance of the ones that should have been in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, you could have done maybe 2 and they chose to go for 5. I thought it was too much. The actors in this movie all gave a really great performance. Michael B. Jordan was great as far as like the physical aspect of his performance. Like, you could tell he got in crazy shape, number 1, but number 2, like, actually learned the boxing profession like fairly good. Like, he looked pretty damn convincing in this movie.
So great that his career isn't going to be ruined by Fant Four Stick.
he's got layers, and people will see this now.
Look, he's done a soap opera, Steven.
Yeah.
And I think he was really, his character was also good. But the only gripe that I have with this character is that all of his emotional stress and like the root
he just yells a lot, I guess.
No, but the root of his character keeps going back to the fact that he wants to be his own man and not follow in his dad's footsteps. You never see like a gradual progression to what's inside of him. It's really like, this is it, and it's like always about this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
there's like nothing to his character aside from his dad.
And the worst part is that they tell you right in the beginning that he wants to be his own man. So for the rest of the movie, obviously he's repeating this over and over, but it would have been interesting for them to like break him apart layer by layer, and then like at the end it's like, look man, this is why I'm fighting. Like, you reveal it. You don't just give it in the beginning.
Well, not because you describe it like that. I almost find it weird that being his own person is kind of a big deal for his character, yet he takes the same job as his dad and kind of like tries to live up to his...
Well, that's the thing too. It's like, it feels like, well, I don't understand why he wants to box. I guess it's just like one of those things. Like I said, Sylvester Stallone like probably gives his best like, this is his role, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter what else he's done in his career, like Rocky will always be the Sylvester Stallone role. And I think like I mentioned earlier, the feeling of loss, of losing so many people in his life, and now he's like trying to connect to this kid in a way, or like, you know, help to pass on what he's learned. He just gives a great performance, and every time he's on screen, you care a little bit more. Mm-hmm. He just adds that extra power to the show.
But
Just a little bit?
Is he really prominent in the movie? Because in the trailer, he's only there for like 1 or 2 scenes.
No, in the movie, he's fairly prominent. Like, after he's introduced, he's there throughout the whole movie. Like, in the same way that Mickey is there for most of the original Rocky movie. Mm-hmm. Same thing.
Okay.
There is a love interest in this movie, and it's told well and it's good, but it didn't feel necessary to the movie. It's almost like, well, we have to have a love interest in this movie. It's like, okay, well, let's put this in. And everything worked about it, but as far as like for the character, it didn't really mean much. It just gave him a girlfriend. You know, it didn't add much to the movie.
Is she
my
black?
point. She was. Is
she sassy?
Uh,
Is she a sassy black girl?
not sassy. Not sassy.
She's clever, probably.
She's
Would
a
you say
musician.
she's clever?
She's a musician.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool.
So she got some layers.
All right,
She got some layers.
all right. Cool. A variation. All right.
The score was also pretty good in the movie. It made like slight homages to the original score, which is obviously so famous on its own and has like so many tracks that everyone knows from that movie. But it also did like a little twist on it and tried to be a little more urban based.
Did it have the steps?
Which one is that?
The steps.
Oh yeah. Well, they put that at the last shot of the movie, and Rocky and Michael B. Jordan go up them together at the end of the movie. So it was pretty cool.
Do they put their fists up with their back facing the camera?
No, but the last shot of the movie is like the backs, like their backs, and they're staring over the city of Philadelphia, just like chit chatting, and then like it's slowly fades to black.
I feel like even before seeing the movie, I would be like, yeah, that's probably how they would end it.
It was right, and that's the thing I want to kind of get at is like the ending of the movie. Obviously, without spoiling anything, it's everything kind of feels well resolved for all of the characters. Like Michael B. Jordan proves that he's his own man. He gets the girl in the end. He and Rocky have a good relationship together.
But Rocky's left untied. The knot that Rocky's in. You said he's alone and he's not.
Well, now he's got Michael B. Jordan.
He's got Michael B.
So
Jordan.
now he's a trainer.
Yeah, basically.
So now he's what's his trainer's name? I forget. Mickey. Now he's Mickey.
Yeah, kind of. But see, that's the thing. It's like the ending is so well resolved. I don't think you need to do another sequel to this. They will franchise this movie. Absolutely. But I think in the same way that Rocky 1 could have stood on its own for the rest of time,
of course.
I think this movie could stand on its own for the rest of the time. Like, I don't feel the characters have anywhere they really need to grow other than like do more fights.
Okay, but you wouldn't say it has the same influence as the first Rocky, right?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
Because that
Did it need to be made? Did this movie need to be made?
no
Need to be made. I mean, no, but
There's not a lot of movies that need to be made.
Well, obviously, but
But yes, certainly that this movie is an enjoyable experience. Fans of the franchise will go see this movie, and
it doesn't feel like a cash-in.
no, it's done with enough respect to the source material and trying to change and put things on its own path that people can enjoy it. My gripe with it is that it feels kind of predictable. It feels like it hits a lot of the same beats from all the other Rocky movies. And while that might be good for other fans of the franchise, for me, it just didn't make this movie feel as special that it possibly could have had it gone in perhaps a different direction. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed our conversation for today. Be sure to head over to Facebook and like us at Movies, Films, and Cinema Reels. Go over to our YouTube channel and check us out at Movies, Films, and Cinema Reels to hear some of our audio clips. My name is Eric.
And I'm Steven.
Saying...
And with my last breath, I curse Zoidberg!